Hey everybody, so I'm going to do a very peaceful demo here today and show you my new instrument that I've done in cooperation with the guys at Mo-Forte. It's called GeoShred. We're very, very proud of it. It's a real instrument for the iPad. It's completely playable. I've been using it on albums. Really excited about it. It's probably the coolest app that I've come up with yet. And it's based on physical modeling. And the physical modeling part of it is very deep, but it allows the instrument to be very organic under your touch. And there's a lot of cool things you can do with it. One thing that's very fun to do is to shred, to play leads on it, but that's certainly just a small part of it. But there's some real magic in the ability to play like your leads on it, because it'll behave like a fretless instrument, so you can do like, let's see if I have sound. So you can really slide all over, but you can also play in a diatonic way, like if I'm looking at you, my finger can land and it's in exactly a B flat or E flat, so it's in perfect tuning. But as soon as I start to move my finger, it's going to slide really, really, really smooth. So that's one part of the kind of magic behind it. But the other part is that if I start here and then I slide, where I get to my destination point is going to also be in perfect tune once I stop my finger. It'd be like, think about like a violinist. They put their finger down, they move it to their destination, they don't do any vibrato. Well, the chances of it being in tune are probably fairly slight. If they're an amazing player, maybe they could do it. But you move your finger to that point, and usually it's flat or sharp, and then they add a little vibrato, and life is good again. In this case, in GeoShred, you start and you're in tune, and you stop your finger after the slide, and it will go into perfect intonation again. And then as soon as you start an emotion, it will express your vibrato exactly the way that you want it. And you can turn off that kind of like pitch rounding completely if you want. So you don't need to have it do that kind of magic trick. But I find that it's really musically very helpful. It's effective. It's kind of musical, magical, which is what I'm looking for. Thank you. So you can kind of get the feel for how you can really like play this thing in a really fluid fashion. And there's some other things musically that you can do that really help this experience. For one, since it's a physical model, it's really easy to use feedback, to use very natural kind of organic feedback. The same as when a guitar player takes his guitar and he moves up closer to the amplifier. It's really a very similar kind of experience here because we're dealing with the same kind of physics. So if I play a note, for example, and I hold that note and I move on my expression pad, it's kind of like the guitarist walking up to his amplifier and doing a little vibrato and asking the amp to give them the feedback. That's exactly what's happening in GeoShred. The same physics. So. Of course, there's a whammy bar as well, because no guitar, physical model guitar, would be right without the whammy consideration. One of the cool things that you can do on GeoShred is you can actually fly through the range of the instrument, obviously using the surface of the pad itself to go from low to high. But there's also some great algorithm stuff going on, which allows me to do all kinds of cool arpeggios and move through the range. For example, I could play something like this. Again. Going back the other way. So before I explain it, you could also do something like this. So what is really happening? I'm not touching any octave switches. It's just a little bit of magic. So there's a rule. If you have it in this particular mode, what happens is if you play something and you go over a tritone, like if I go, let's go the other way since I'm so high up. So I'm going G, F, E, D, C. Now when I go back up to the G, that's a perfect fifth. But GeoShred is thinking now, let me go the smaller interval. So if I do it again, so in an instance like that where I'm deciding to go or playing a perfect fifth, GeoShred is always going to choose the shorter interval. It'll go the other direction. It won't go, let's say, up to G. It'll go down to G because it's closer. So it enables me to do all kinds of interesting riffs, maybe like a... Another great sound that I love to play and show people because they really get the idea is this one. This, when your finger goes down, there's no sound. But when you start pushing up in this space of a vertical note, then you can add whatever like effects you want. You could have any parameters assigned. But in this case, it's mostly volume, and it's just we have a bit of tone that's added. So here we go. Check it out. So what's very cool, so when you influence the note, you give it energy by going up on the vertical grid. If you push really fast, you'll create more volume. If you push slowly, it'll ease in. But when you add the expression pad to it, that's when you can start playing around with your distance again to the amplifier. So. The interesting things about a model and the creative advantage, if you will, if you go for this ride with me, is that you can get to any aspect of the guitar and really bend and shape it and do different kinds of things with it that you would never do on like a guitar. So you could carry it to another dimension, if you will, like maybe this dimension of having an arpeggiation, which will go through all kinds of different changes. It's like. That'd be probably pretty hard to do on a guitar. Or you can do any kind of alternate tunings that you want as well. We think of these rows, the horizontal rows, as strings, right? And the vertical rows as frets. So you can have any alternate tuning you want. You could have it tuned like a guitar, or you know, in the DAD-GAD tuning or whatever you choose. So I chose this tuning. And for those of you who are really in deep in the technology, then you might dare to hit the edit button and go a little bit deeper into the effects. Besides the cool playing surface and the general idea that we have physical modeling here, there's also some really great effects. There's also the whiz verb. This is the reverb that's in here, and they're all physically modeled, all the effects, all the guitars, and they're very, very powerful as well. So if you dare to go a little bit deeper, then you might like to discover some of the curve functionalities. And the curves are really cool. So like what they let you do is like, we could do a curve on every note that I play. If I want to change the harmonic content of every note that's played, I can go into my control surface. And right now, what's happening is every time I play a new note, there's something going on with the sitar bridge that I'm using. And you can see the shape. It's very colorful. I could change it if I want, maybe to that. So every time I play a note, it'll go to the next step of the curve. That's why it sounds very organic, and every time I play, it's not totally the same. But let's go back. We have two things that are happening for every time I play a note, but let's add a third thing. I'm just going to say plus, and I'm going to go to my guitar, and I'm going to go to the strings and something to do with the strings, like the stiffness. And the stiffness controls the harmonics. And we let you go from like a string harmonic to a bar harmonic. And they're both a very different set of harmonics. So if we go into the stiffness and I draw something there, maybe I'll draw something like this. It's not bad looking. And then I play a repeated note. You can see and you listen to the harmonics changing for every note that I play. Let's do it lower here. Right? So if I play a faster passage, maybe like, or even like a, and while you're auditioning sounds, you can take this and move it anywhere you want. Like I really wanted to do, I wanted to try this sound and see the curve, but I wanted to go. So you can see we can start getting really like organic, acoustic, but also really kind of out there with what you're doing. And if ever it gets like too technical for you and you just feel like you got to come back and just shred, that's easy to do because you go back to the first patch and at the end of the day, when I'm feeling like I just want to relax and get my rock chops going, I just come here and shred for a while. Feeling good, go to sleep, wake up in the morning again and shred some more, right? Isn't that what it's all about? We just shred.